Hello, my name is Les Brown,
I'm DaRayl Davis.
and we'd like to allow you to be a part of our conversation just from the perspective of just listening. First of all, DaRayl, I just want to tell you, man, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and I love the way that you got this hook up in here, up in here. As Mama would say, you clean as a chitlin. Come on
Thank
now.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
But
sir.
listen, DaRayl, you've been dealing in the area of finance for many years, and one of the things I do is help people to develop the mindset, but you help people to develop the skill set, financial intelligence. But what I want to know is when you look at your life and you look back in your background, when was it that you became interested in this area and you decided, this is what I'm going to do? This is an area that I want to focus on. When did you decide to do that?
You know, I can say that you influenced me and so many others, and it's something that I've heard you say and others say, that we desire to teach that which we need the most. Mm-hmm. And so when I was a child, I had we could say unfortunate experience, but I had this experience which was a life-changing experience where my parents separated when they eventually divorced. And, just the tearing of the family and the financial component of it caused me to vow to want to fix that, for myself in the future, and then for anyone in my lineage that I could help and influence. So it was at a really young age that I said, wow, I really want to do good with this money thing. I think I was 4, and my mom said, I promised her. I stood up on the back seat of the car and said, Mama, I'm going to buy you a house. Mm-hmm. I was 4 years young. I don't know where that came from, but that came out of me. And so when I saw that my family was a bit disjointed and I saw the strains for not having as much in terms of money, they say more month than money, it got me interested. And I said, I really want to learn this thing. And so I started to just explore just what could I do, picking careers and what's going to, when I grow up, I want to do whatever's going to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of when it started. And then later when I started to have my own struggles, I figured I needed to really learn more about money.
When I look at my own life, I can understand, identify with you, because I was embarrassed when I was married and creditors would call the house and my children would answer the phone, said, my daddy say here.
Daddy said, here.
Right. So, the Red Fox said, money can't buy you happiness, but it can make a big down payment.
That's absolutely true.
So when you look at where we are today, where there are people who have gone through some tough times financially, and many insurance companies say that if you follow most Americans starting at age 25, by the time they reach 65, you know the numbers. 1 will be rich, 4 will be well-to-do, 5 will still be working, 36 will be dead, and 54 will be dependent upon welfare and family and friends. That 95% of people, by the time they reach age 65, would need some community organization, church, or somebody to provide for them the bare necessities of life, of food, shelter, and clothing. Now, what you do is help people to learn the behaviors and the choices of that 5%. If you had to extract out and crystallize your thoughts of some things that people can do, that 5% do. There's a Jamaican proverb that if you save your money will save you.
Yes.
So what are the strategies that you have learned over the years? Because you've been fortunate enough you've developed the mindset and the skill set to work with millions and thousands of people, but work with millions of dollars in teaching people how to leverage their money. And so what is it that you would have people to understand if you had 5 basic principles that would help them to create wealth?
One is that, and this is again, it's borrowed. I learned something you shared, that no one has a monopoly on success. Success is systems. So I would recommend the first thing that people need is to have a system. And you can identify a system. You don't have to create it from scratch. I love the acronym. That system is save yourself time, energy, and money. And so, success leaves clues. Find someone who's successful in the area that you desire to be successful. And for me, it was a very passionate pursuit about, money. And follow that, emulate that. And if you follow what I like to say, principle-based practices, you can expect predictable results.
What do you mean by that?
There are some things that are like timeless. The cause and effect, sow and reap approach. And, I heard you say once that the new currency is relationship capital. knowledge currency.
Yes.
You know, most people have some value that they can bring to the marketplace or to the economy. And if you bring value, then value will be returned. And so all of us innately are valuable, but we can improve our value in the marketplace by sharpening our skills, improving our language as you teach people to learn to communicate and tell their story. There's value in that. And so what I mean is find a system that allows you to maximize the innate gifts, talents, abilities, and skills, whereas you can add value, whether it's inside of a corporation, in your own entrepreneurial venture, wherever it is, whatever segment or industry of the economy that you want to serve. But if we serve and add value, then we can extract value. And it's a fair exchange. You actually don't even have to pursue it. So I think that's the one thing, to find a system wherein we can, you know.
And break down the acronym again. You said save yourself time,
Energy,
and money.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a system.
I'm going to borrow that first 3 times. I'll say DaRayl said, and then I'll say I heard somewhere.
Right. That's good. But it'll get around the world.
It'll get around.
Sharing it.
All I have, I receive. Okay.
That's
yes.
right. Absolutely.
Okay.
The other thing, you know, Les, is that we have to have a plan. So few people, and it's like you said, the 95%, unfortunately, never achieve success because we don't have a plan. And I believe that plan has to start with some written goals. You know, again, it's difficult for me to not give you so much credit. When I started my matriculation and listening in 90-something, you know, but, you know, it starts with goals. A goal is a dream with a timeline.
Yes,
you know?
and Robert Schuller said people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan.
Exactly. And so, unfortunately, we take our direction from others. We take our direction from Wall Street. We take our direction from Madison Avenue, versus realizing that we are the drivers of Wall Street and Madison Avenue. And so if we have a plan, then we can make our resources work better for us. Unfortunately, we have no plan, so we fall into the plan of someone else. And capitalism isn't bad. It's just few people maximize and take full advantage of it, realizing that I can be a capitalist. I don't have to be a fat cat on Wall Street or in a corner office of a Fortune company. So simply having a plan puts us in that 5%, because the 95% don't, the 5% do. And that plan could start just from this conversation that people are eavesdropping on. They could sit and say, I want to do X. My purpose is to do this, and money will help me fulfill that purpose. So I think having a plan is essential. The other thing is we have to find mentors. You know, again, if you go and get the world's best in any group, you became the best raconteur on the planet because you had a mentor.
Yes.
Who said, Leslie, you can do this, and you were, I remember the stories, you know,
yes.
you were, well, I can't do it, but I can't do it. And he encouraged you to
yes.
do it. And now you encourage millions around the globe on every continent where that's inhabited. And so I think finding mentors is essential. We can call it a coach.
Yes, because we don't know what we don't know, and most of us think we know. And the key is having someone who can see what you can't see and who know what you don't know. I think as Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group.
Right.
Okay, so you say, so having a coach is important, and what else? Yes.
You know, and beyond having a coach, you know, we all know, well, if you're gonna have a coach, you need to be coachable or be teachable. And so, again, I've heard you say that you're never too young to teach and you're never too old to learn. And so one of the things we often in our society, we get caught up with the idea of, I finished this. We want to finish, you know, but commencement. Oh, I graduated, I experienced my commencement, and we think it stops.
Right.
But commencement is the beginning.
Yeah, it's an ending and a beginning.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so we want to make sure that we are ever learning. You know, it's sharpening the saw. You know, there's the story of the gentleman who was working feverishly to cut down a tree. And someone came along and said, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm trying to cut down this tree. Wow, you look totally exhausted. I've been working at it for hours. He said, hey, well, why don't you take a few minutes to sharpen your saw? I don't have time to sharpen my saw. I'm trying to get the tree cut down.
Yes.
Well, you know, you got to sharpen the saw because you
Right.
can get through more trees. And so continuing our journey of education, always being ever learning, I think is another point that we have to, you know, embrace.
When you look at your life and look at your career, what's the time that Murphy's Law, and it happens to all of us, my favorite book says, They cannot strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might. You will have tribulations.
Sure.
What's a point in your career that life caught you on the blind side? That it was a defining moment. You know, Kevin Costner said there are moments in life that either you define the moment or the moment defines you.
Yeah.
And that became a defining moment for DaRayl. What happened there?
What happened is I had founded a company, Financial Assurance Corporation, and I was practicing what I had learned in the industry. And unfortunately, the financial services industry is really not necessarily built or set up for the average person to win. And so what we're taught is to gather assets, tell people to bring us their money, don't worry about it, I'll send you a statement, just I'll handle the money, I'm the expert. And Les, I came to a place where I said, I just don't see that being the way to go. I believe people need to be educated. We have the whole thing, well, the educated consumer is the best consumer. Well, in the financial space, they don't want to educate. And so I decided that I wanted to take a different route. And the blind side was, I sat down on our leadership team for our firm that I had invested everything I had into. And we had an office, which we still have a remnant of, at the International Square building downtown. I said, I'm going to be where Merrill Lynch is in Washington, D.C. We're in the same building. I'm going to be where the big boys are. Sign the lease. And I'm telling my team, okay, we're no longer going to be a transaction firm. Meaning we're going to teach people how to handle their money. We're going to build relationships. And we're not going to seek the big commissions. We're going to earn it by helping people to do better. And they looked at me like deer in the headlights, like, are you crazy? I got a mortgage.
Right.
I've got children, I'm paying tuition. And nobody wanted to go with me for the most part. I mean, there were a few people, but I was really blind. I thought that we all believed the same thing.
Yes.
I thought that, the people that I sat across the table from who had been working as long as I'd been alive, that inspired me, I thought we all wanted to serve them in that way. Nah, so some people made different decisions and they left me with overhead and multiple offices. And so that was an awakening. And so
How did you handle that emotionally?
it was tough. And the way I describe it, Les, I thought of it just like the divorce I saw my parents go through. I had never been married. I don't have children, but I thought of it it was just as emotionally tearing to me to have the baby that I built in terms of this company with these people, to find that we're potentially going to have to go in different directions. And I have to quote you again. It was 2007, and you were speaking on the stage at the Fraser Net in Atlanta.
Yes.
And made a statement that you can't always grow up with the people or grow out with the people you grow up with. And so I realized that, wow, this next leg of the journey may be without these same people. And I thought we would all retire together and walk the beaches of the world together.
Right. Yes.
And it was tough. And it took me a moment to recover.
This is lonely at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you eat better.
And it's less crowded. Yeah, you're not bumping into
So there's some people watching now that they're in some struggles right now. They're going through a tough time. What are three things that you would say that was your rod and staff that gave you the mental resiliency to come through that experience?
Wow. I was committed to my dream.
So don't give up your commitment to the dream.
Never give up your commitment to your
So
dream.
you held that in your mind, what it was that you were working on.
I held that in my mind. And again, it's very difficult. I can tell you, Les, it's very difficult to talk about what inspires me without referencing you as being one of my lead inspirations. One, because we wear the same jersey, and just knowing your story. And so, when you would share how, are you going to be the one whose your dreams approach you to say, I dreamed of doing all of these things and I died because of you. I couldn't live.
Yes.
And I don't want my dream to meet me on the other side.
Right.
There's a
It said
time
we
for
came to
accountability.
you, and only you could have given me life.
Exactly.
And now I must die with you forever.
Exactly.
That's Dr. Howard Thurman. I love that quote. So one is hold the dream. Keep that in mind. What's number two for an adjective you would describe emotionally for yourself that help you to go through this? Because all entrepreneurs go to it. 8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt.
Yeah.
So that holding the vision of the dream, what's number two?
Persistence.
Persistence.
And I'd like to say proper persistence. And I qualify that because, you know, all of us have seen the fly on the windowsill who was
Yes.
persistently trying to break through the window.
Right, right,
It's not going to happen.
right. Three feet away, they
From
can
an
go out
open
the
door.
Right.
Exactly. So persistence isn't try harder, try harder, try harder, try harder. When we can take and make quantum leaps by trying a better way.
Yes.
And again, that's where the coach or the mentor, it's not just keep trying harder. Doing more of the same can get you more of the same results.
Yes.
So persisting in, I'm going to find the way to, again, live the dream. That's my job. The dream is born within me. Now, I'm going to find the way to fulfill it. That to me is proper persistence.
So you got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out.
And the third thing is what?
The third thing is, be passionate about sharing with and helping others. You know, I think it all has to be service-based.
Okay. You say sharing with. What do you mean by sharing with?
You know,
I'm talking about going through the tough times.
going through the tough time.
Yeah.
Sharing your story. You know,
Got
sharing
it.
the experience, sharing what you're learning. You know, the most successful families in the world, let's take the Rothschild family, controls a whole bunch of the world's resources.
Right.
And their family bank requires simply not to pay the money back, but to bring back the intellectual capital, what you learned through the experience of the failed bank in Paris, or the failed bank in another part of Europe, or the failed attempts to bring a central bank to America. So it's about sharing the knowledge, you know, that knowledge collaboration and that knowledge bank is, again, as you said, knowledge is the new currency, but it's new for us to recognize it. We're catching on to what families who perpetual wealth for hundreds of years have known. It's the knowledge that we acquire from experiences and apply, which is going to help us to do better. So that's what I mean by, you know, sharing our experience, you know, and then serving others. You know, there's a scripture that says the greatest among you will be the servant of many. And so we want to think service first. I want to help people. I don't want to just extract money from people, but how can I truly serve and help people? And if we can figure a way to truly serve and help people, we'll never be underemployed or without opportunity, because people need to be served. The fact of us being here now, we're being served by so many. The fact that you or I can wear a wristwatch, we're being served by so many. The fact that we can go to a restaurant and have a meal, we're being served by so many. That got it from the garden to the table, or from the farm to the table,
Yeah.
however it matriculated, it got to us. And so I think service first is a very good mantra.
When you look at today's economy, we know that things have changed. The 40-40 plan is gone, where a person can expect to go to college and graduate and get a job and work 40 hours a week for 40 years. That day is gone. And so we're living in a time that things are very unpredictable. There's no such thing as job security. And